There are signs of suffering that don't show up as scars or tears, but in the way a person thinks, feels, and survives. Those who've endured long-term pain rarely need to speak about it. Their very existence tells the story. Deep wounds don't just alter our emotions. They gradually reshape who we are, quietly and persistently. Have you ever wondered why you're always on guard, even when no threat is present? Why it's hard to open up, even though you crave connection? Or why you feel the constant need to control everything, just to keep life from falling apart? These aren't odd behaviors. They're natural responses to having been hurt too much, for too long. No one comes out of a storm completely untouched. But some people learn to rebuild themselves from the fragments, and in doing so, they develop certain traits, ones that make them stronger, but also more solitary. In this video, we'll explore 5 key traits often found in those who've faced overwhelming emotional hardship. You might see parts of yourself reflected in them, or gain new insight into someone you care about. Whatever the past has left behind, understanding is the first step toward healing. Number 1. Heightened empathy. Those who have endured life's harshest trials often carry with them a unique ability, an almost instinctive awareness of invisible pain in others. Having walked through fire themselves, they no longer need obvious signs to recognize suffering. It's in a glance, a tone of voice, a silence that lingers too long. Where most might overlook the subtle signals, these individuals are finely attuned to emotional undercurrents that reveal someone is struggling beneath the surface. This sensitivity isn't something they were born with. It was forged through experience. The countless moments when they themselves felt alone, unheard, or misunderstood have shaped them into silent observers with open hearts. They don't need dramatic stories to validate someone's hurt. A slight shift in expression, a forced smile, or quiet withdrawal is often enough to stir their compassion. What sets them apart isn't just that they notice, it's how they respond. They don't rush in with advice or try to fix what can't be fixed. Instead, they offer presence, a calming energy, a small gesture of kindness that says, "I see you. I've been there." Without demanding explanations, they make room for others to breathe, to be, and to begin healing in their own time. Their empathy runs deep, not because life was kind, but because it wasn't. And rather than turning bitter or cold, they chose to turn their wounds into bridges that quietly connect them with others who are still in the middle of their storms. Number 2. A desire for control. When someone's past has been ruled by unpredictability and emotional upheaval, their relationship with control transforms. They don't crave order out of preference. It becomes a necessity. After surviving experiences that left them powerless, they begin to shape their lives with precision, not because it's comfortable, but because it's how they reclaim authority over their own existence. For those who've suffered deeply, structure becomes a quiet anchor in a world that once tossed them around without mercy. They might plan their days down to the smallest detail, rearrange their environment until it feels just right, or make decisions with an intensity others might not understand. It's not about obsession, it's about safety. In creating order, they're not avoiding life. They're building a version of it they can trust. This need for predictability often emerges from a history where things changed too fast, or where chaos had consequences that left lasting emotional scars. What may seem like over-preparation or excessive caution is, in truth, a hard-earned strategy for staying afloat. It's a way of saying, "I know what it's like when everything collapses. I won't let that happen again." And while this coping mechanism comes from pain, it often evolves into a powerful asset. These individuals tend to be dependable, detail-oriented, and deeply grounded. They've learned how to hold steady in storms because they've already survived worse. Their commitment to control isn't about fearing the unknown. It's about never letting the unknown break them again. Number 3. Hyper-independence. Some people wear solitude like armor, polished, impenetrable, and always in place. From the outside, it might look like strength, even freedom. Someone who never asks, never depends, never wavers. But beneath that surface, there's often a long, invisible history of being let down when it mattered most. This deep form of self-reliance isn't born from pride or ego. It comes from survival. It forms in childhood bedrooms where comfort never came, in friendships where secrets became weapons, in relationships where vulnerability was met with silence or betrayal. Over time, the message becomes clear. If you want to stay safe, stay self-contained. So, they learn to handle everything on their own. They never ask for help to move, never admit when they're overwhelmed, never show their cracks. They patch the roof themselves in the rain. They navigate unfamiliar roads without ever pulling over for directions. To them, needing someone feels like exposing a wound in a room full of knives. They've built a life around never being caught off guard. Independence becomes a strategy, a way to stay in control when the world has proven itself unpredictable. Relying on others, no matter how kind they seem, feels like loading a gun and handing it to someone else. But the cost of this fortress is weight. Heavy, silent weight. It means facing illness alone, solving crises in silence, swallowing grief without witness. The world may applaud their strength, but it rarely sees the exhaustion behind it. And though they may say, "I don't need anyone," what they often mean is, "I've needed people before, and it hurt too much." Connection isn't something they don't want. It's something that feels out of reach, not because they're cold, but because hope feels dangerous. Still, in quiet hours, when the front they've built begins to crack, there's sometimes a whisper they barely acknowledge. What if, just once, someone stayed? What if it was safe to fall, and someone caught them? That question haunts them, not because they don't care, but because they do, deeply. And caring for them has always come with a cost they're not sure they can afford again. Number 4. Persistent strive for perfection. There's a kind of pressure that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout or explode. It seeps in quietly, like water through cracks. Over time, it rewires how you think, how you work, how you exist. What others might call high standards or strong ambition is, for you, something else entirely. It's a constant internal tightening, a relentless push to never fall short, even if no one's keeping score but you. You've probably mastered the art of appearing composed, calm on the outside, capable, focused, but beneath that polished surface, there's a war you fight in silence. Every task is a test, every accomplishment, a brief relief before the next demand rises. You don't chase success because it brings joy. You chase it because stopping feels dangerous. Because if things aren't perfect, maybe they'll fall apart. Maybe you will fall apart. This isn't about ego. It never was. It's about fear. Old, deep-rooted fear that told you, once upon a time, that being enough was conditional. That love was earned, not given. That approval came only when you performed without error. And so you adapted. You became the overachiever. The one who always showed up, always exceeded expectations, always made sure no one could find fault. But living like this, is exhausting. You go over conversations in your head, wondering if you said too much or not enough. You triple-check your work, not for excellence, but because the thought of missing something keeps you up at night. You smile at praise, but rarely believe it. Instead of feeling proud, you feel relief, followed quickly by the weight of needing to do more. What's most painful is that no one sees this. From the outside, you look like you're thriving. People admire your discipline, your precision, your results, but they don't see the toll it takes. The rest you deny yourself, the joy you postpone, the invisible burden of never allowing yourself to be human. You weren't born this way. You were shaped this way, by expectations, by disappointments, by moments when you felt like being anything less than exceptional meant being unworthy. And now, the question isn't whether you can keep going like this. You already know you can. The real question, the one that echoes in the quiet moments, is whether you have to. Whether there's another way to exist in the world without constantly proving your right to belong. Perfection won't save you. It won't silence the doubt. It won't finally make you feel safe. Maybe, just maybe, the real strength isn't in getting everything right. Maybe it's in letting yourself be seen, even when you're not. Number 5. Emotional guarding. There's a certain strength that goes unnoticed. It doesn't look like confidence or boldness. It looks like someone swallowing their pain mid-sentence. Someone forcing a smile when their world is crumbling quietly inside. Over time, this strength hardens into silence. You become the one who doesn't flinch, the one who never asks for help, the one who laughs off worry. But underneath that composure, there's a truth few ever see. You're tired of pretending to be unbreakable. You didn't wake up one day and decide to stop showing emotion. It happened slowly. Each time someone dismissed your feelings, walked away when you needed them most, or used your honesty against you, it taught you to withhold a little more. Eventually, you stopped reaching out altogether. Not because you didn't want connection, but because the risk felt too great. So now, you keep your stories short. You shift the spotlight onto others. You stay composed, no matter what's falling apart. And yet, in your quietest moments, you wonder what it would feel like to let someone see past the surface. To be vulnerable without fearing that it'll cost you something. That longing for authenticity never really disappeared. It just got buried under years of self-preservation. Take someone like Maya. She's dependable, admired, always showing up for everyone else. But when the weight gets too heavy, she carries it alone. She believes that vulnerability is a crack in the armor, something to be hidden, not shared. But what Maya hasn't realized is that isolation isn't strength. It's a cage built from survival instincts that no longer serve her. Philosophies like Stoicism are often misunderstood. They don't ask you to erase your emotions or shut them down. Instead, they invite you to understand them, to recognize that you are not ruled by what you feel. Stoicism teaches presence, not avoidance. It reminds us that true resilience lies in facing discomfort, not escaping it. You don't need to spill everything to everyone, but maybe it's time to let a little light in, to allow one person, someone who's earned your trust, to see more than the version you perform. Vulnerability isn't recklessness. It's the brave decision to show up as you are, without certainty of the outcome. There's a strange kind of freedom in that, in no longer needing to appear flawless, in no longer carrying the entire weight of your world alone. And perhaps that's the real strength, not in never breaking, but in allowing someone to witness your cracks and stay anyway. The people who've endured the deepest pain often carry something quietly powerful within them, not just the remnants of what they've survived, but a kind of inner light forged in the fire. These qualities aren't simply results of hardship. They're signs of how far someone has come. They remind us that even when life feels cruel or chaotic, it's still possible to grow into someone kind, grounded, and deeply human. Maybe you've seen this in someone close to you, or maybe you've lived it yourself. The quiet strength, the empathy sharpened by experience, the quiet urge to find meaning where others see none. However it shows up, it matters. We'd love to know your perspective. Have these ideas reflected something from your own story, or sparked a new one? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this message resonated with you, give it a like and consider sharing it with someone who might feel the same. If you're drawn to content that explores the human experience, growth, resilience, self-discovery, you're in the right place. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. We're just getting started. Thanks for being here, and when you're ready, take a look around. There's a lot more waiting for you.